I never thought owning a piece of peace could cause so much chaos. I bought a quiet lakeside property to escape noise, not invite it. But in my neighborhood, peace had a price, and it wasn't written in dollars. It came in the form of the HOA president's smile, tight, fake, and always watching. Everything started the morning I caught a group of strangers fishing on my private dock. When I asked who they were, they said, "Karen said it's community property." By the end of that week, my lake, my title deed, and my patience would become the battlefield for the pettiest war my HOA had ever seen. I moved into Willow Crest Estates to get away from people like her. The brochures promised quiet luxury by the lake. What they didn't mention was the HOA's obsession with control. Rules about mailbox colors, rules about where your trash bins faced, rules about rules. Still, I didn't care. My slice of heaven was Lot 47, a beautiful half-acre wrapping around the north edge of Willow Lake, a natural freshwater basin that technically sat half inside the community, half on my private land. When I bought it, the deed was clear. The northern half of the lake belonged to my property, legally private. The southern half was community access, a perfect balance, or so I thought. Enter Karen. Her real name was something forgettable, but everyone called her HOA Karen because she treated authority like oxygen. Blonde bob haircut, clipboard like a sword, and an unshakable belief that her word was law. She wasn't even on the HOA board at first. She became president through sheer persistence. The kind of woman who send a 4-page email if your grass was half an inch too tall. At first, she seemed polite enough. "Welcome to Willow Crest," she said, her smile sharp as glass. "We're a tight-knit community." Translation: we watch everything you do. I kept to myself, worked from home, fished in the mornings, and minded my own business. But soon, I noticed the pattern. Every few days, I'd see people wandering near my fence, pointing toward the lake. Then, one Saturday, I woke up to laughter, not birds, not wind, but voices. When I looked out my window, I saw 4 people fishing off my dock. I went down calmly, thinking it was a mistake. "Hey, folks, just so you know, this half of the lake's private." The older man chuckled. "Oh, Karen said it's all shared. She told us this is community property." That name again. I politely explained the property lines and showed them the small private access sign by the dock. They left, embarrassed, but the damage was done. By evening, an HOA email hit my inbox. "Dear resident, several neighbors have expressed confusion regarding lake access. As per community spirit, all residents are encouraged to share amenities peacefully. Remember, Willow Lake is for everyone. HOA President, Karen D. No legal citation. No courtesy call, just an announcement rewriting my property rights." That's when I knew. This wasn't confusion. It was a test. I decided to play it cool, at first. I reprinted the property map, highlighted the boundary lines, and sent it to the HOA board with my deed attached. 2 days later, Karen replied, "We'll review the matter at the next meeting." That meeting felt less like a discussion and more like an ambush. Karen opened with her signature calm hostility. "So, it seems there's been some misunderstanding about the lake access." I explained the legal boundary again, referencing the county parcel map. She smiled like she already won. "Well," she said, "according to the HOA bylaws, any natural body of water within Willow Crest is considered shared amenity space." The room went silent. I asked her to show where that was written. She flipped pages theatrically. Nothing, because there was nothing. She improvised rules like she breathed air. The board murmured about community enjoyment and fairness. I realized logic wasn't going to win this fight. Not yet. Over the next few weeks, the harassment escalated in the most petty ways imaginable. Random guests walking across my lawn to reach the lake. HOA emails reminding everyone about cooperative property. Even a fine notice for an unregistered dock, which wasn't even under HOA jurisdiction. Each move was designed to wear me down. But they underestimated one thing. I don't back down when I'm right. I hired a local surveyor to mark the boundary lines with bright yellow stakes. Then I installed a simple wooden gate at the path that led to my dock with a polite sign, "Private property, authorized access only." That's when the real war began. Within 24 hours, Karen emailed the entire neighborhood. "It has come to our attention that a resident has restricted access to a shared amenity. This behavior violates the cooperative spirit of Willow Crest and may result in disciplinary action." She CC'd me, of course. That weekend, I caught 3 families standing outside my gate, visibly upset. One woman said, "Karen told us this is everyone's lake. You're just being selfish." The next morning, I woke up to a notice taped to my mailbox. HOA violation for unauthorized structure on common ground. That's when I realized she was using the HOA like a weapon. So, I switched tactics. I filed a cease and desist letter through my attorney, addressed to the HOA, explicitly outlining the property boundaries with maps, deeds, and county verification. 2 days later, Karen showed up at my door. Not a knock, a pounding. I opened it slowly. She stood there, arms crossed, clipboard ready. "I got your little lawyer letter," she said, voice shaking with restrained anger. "But you can't just block people from the lake. It's community property." She shouted so loud my neighbor across the street peeked through their blinds. I stayed calm. "It's not community property, Karen. It's private land. The deed says so." Her face turned red. "We'll see about that," she spat, storming off. And she meant it. Within days, she called an emergency HOA meeting, filed a community complaint, and even petitioned the county zoning office to review my property line. She wanted to prove my dock sat on HOA soil. But what she didn't know was that the county already knew about her history. She'd filed 6 zoning complaints in 3 years, all dismissed. When the inspector came out, he took one look, checked his GPS, and said, "Yeah, that's clearly your property." He even wrote a short report confirming it. Karen was furious, but she wasn't done. The following Saturday, I heard laughter again, only louder this time. When I stepped outside, I saw a full picnic, coolers, chairs, kids, music, right on my shore. Karen was there, sunglasses on, pretending not to see me. That's when I blocked them. I parked my truck across the narrow gravel path that connected the community trail to my property. Not aggressively, just firmly. She came marching up, furious. "You can't block the path," she shouted. "Karen," I said, "this path ends at my property line." That's when she snapped. Her voice echoed across the lake. "This is community property. You can't own water." Every head turned. Cameras came out. Some people laughed, some gasped. She stormed off again, this time with her pride shattered. By Monday morning, the HOA board was in full crisis mode. Karen called for an emergency vote to remove the obstruction of community access. But when the meeting began, something unexpected happened. Half the residents sided with me. They were tired of her overreach, tired of the constant fines, emails, and power trips. My quiet standoff had become a symbol of resistance. I presented the county report confirming ownership and played the video a neighbor had recorded of Karen screaming, "Community property," like a battle cry. The room broke into awkward laughter. Karen's face turned pale. She tried to pivot, claiming it was all miscommunication, but the board had had enough. By the end of the meeting, she was voted out as HOA president. The next day, a new email came through, this time from the vice president. "Effective immediately, the HOA acknowledges the northern portion of Willow Lake as private property belonging to Lot 47. We apologize for prior misunderstandings." That single email felt like oxygen. Months of tension, gone in one line. But the story didn't end there. Karen couldn't stand losing face. A week later, I caught her pacing by the lake again. No guests this time, no clipboard. Just her, She looked smaller somehow. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. She glared at my dock, muttered something under her breath, and walked away for good. That was the last time I saw her. Life slowly returned to normal. The lake became quiet again. Just me, the birds, and the occasional ripple of fish under the morning sun. Neighbors started waving more. A few even apologized for believing her lies. Turns out, many of them were afraid of Karen, afraid of her endless rule reminders and her ability to make their lives miserable. Without her, the HOA relaxed. The community started to feel like an actual neighborhood again, not a dictatorship. A month later, I was cleaning my dock when an older neighbor, Mr. Jenkins, stopped by. He smiled and said, "You know, son, that lake's been here longer than any HOA. You did right standing your ground." And he was right. That's what it came down to. Boundaries. Not just on maps, but in life. People like Karen blur those lines. They wrap control in the language of community and entitlement in the mask of fairness. But peace doesn't come from control. It comes from respect. Sometimes the most powerful word you can say is no. Since then, I've kept my gate open occasionally, only for neighbors who ask politely. Funny enough, none of them ever assumed it was community property. As for Karen, rumor says she moved to another HOA across town, a more organized one. I can only imagine how long that'll last. And me? Every time I sit on that dock, I remember the day peace met pettiness, and peace won.